Today's video is full of budget-friendly Dollar Tree DIYs and hacks to inspire you to think outside of the box and get creative using very inexpensive items that are easy to find. Please leave me a big thumbs up and let's get on into crafting. While shopping for all of these stockings, I found these 4-pack of mini ones from Walmart for 98 cents. So I knew if I grabbed 6 of these, because there's 4 per pack, I would have enough to create a huge advent calendar. Now, I didn't add the numbers on there. Definitely feel free to add whatever you want to. I just liked it looking plain. But I hung these from one of Dollar Tree's great big plank boards and just painted it white and then hung some ribbon down off of it so that I could use some clothespins to pin all of those stockings up. Go ahead and take the time to measure. You can tell that I glued them down and then popped them back up, so I'm trying to glue them down a little bit more evenly. I thought it would take the whole board, but then I had to pull them up and just kind of push them towards the middle, and then securing them extra tight in the back with some large popsicle sticks. That's going to make sure these aren't going to fall off because the stockings are going to add a little bit of weight, and then depending on whatever that you put down inside them for the advent calendar. Now, I didn't fill them up for this video, but I plan on putting like chapsticks and makeup and candies for my little girls. They get so excited. So I'm planning on going to Dollar Tree and finding some tiny little things where I can put like 3 prizes in each stocking, and then just letting them take turns pulling off one every day. Like I mentioned, I didn't add the numbers on there. I didn't want it to be more cluttered than it was already, but you definitely could be creative, add some cute little snowflake tags or plain tags, or just put the number right on the stocking. You could use your Cricut to cut it out, or anything that you would like. But I'm just going to tell my girls to kind of go in order, and they're getting older, so they're not just going to rip this thing apart. They'll actually like take their time and figure out which stocking they need to take down next. Then I just added some greenery at the top and tied a little string to hang this up, and I absolutely love it and cannot wait to fill this completely up for this season. I found these little decorative pieces that holds cards at the top, and I just got so excited. I knew I could turn this into like a Christmas card holder. This would be really cute to display even like your family pictures, or make this like personalized for someone. This would be a really great gift idea. But I picked up 3 of these. I actually went with the gray style, because I want to connect all of these together and leave one of the family words in the middle. So these hold cards so cute, and grouped in a pair of 3. This is going to be a long like shelf setter. You could set this in a windowsill, but it's not going to take up a lot of space, so it's going to be perfect to set around and display anything that you would like. But I glued these together for video purposes. I used hot glue, but if you're going to gift this or use it for a long time, definitely use some type of wood glue or something a little bit stronger. You could even attach like some screws in the back and piece these together. But I decided to go ahead and use some steel colored chalk paint to paint each of the sides, but once again, just leaving that family word in the middle. I think it looks really cute. So I thought I was going to glue down these snowflakes, the silver ones, but I didn't have enough, so then I peeled them off and went with all of the white ones. But these hold cards so super cute. I will love to display this on an entryway table and just kind of put out my favorite family photos. These large snowflake ornaments just caught my eye. I knew they would be fragile. Putting them on the tree, I feel like they would break easily, or if they fell off, my kids would bother them. But if you actually pick up a couple of these candle holders from the Dollar Tree, and I just kind of moved the top until it got really loose and came off, and then took these outside, spray painted them with some gold spray paint, and then attaching these snowflakes on there, and this is actually going to keep them safe and display them gorgeous on a table or a shelf versus putting them on the tree. But these have such beautiful detail. They actually look like frosty, glittery snowflakes. I love them so much. I just hot glued them on these stands. It's hard to tell in the video, but one of them was a little bit smaller than the other one, so definitely keep that in mind when you're looking for these. You can get 2 different sizes or keep them the same size, but just glued them as high as I could on this stand while still keeping that ugly little top piece behind the middle circle so you won't be able to see it. But I love these. These are so high-end looking and gorgeous, and a perfect way to display these ornaments. For the next project, you are going to need a glass frame. So I had this on hand and I wanted to use it. I know it is like technically like a photo frame, but I wanted to remove all of the pieces on it. So I just pulled off the paper pieces, and then using a razor blade, I removed all of the paint. Now this is a really fun project I had to try with the resin. It is actually crushing glass ornaments. So this is really fun because you can use ornaments from the thrift store or old ones that you don't use anymore. Make sure that you don't be like me and you do remove the little hooks at the top, because the metal pieces are not going to shatter like glass. So I do try to be super careful. I put this in a thick like freezer Ziploc bag and then put a towel over it and try to crush them as carefully as possible. Be sure if you make any of these projects today, you are protecting your eyes and skin. Resin seriously is chemicals that you need to protect your body from, so be sure to use all the precautions. Read the safety protocol on the box and make sure that you do everything that you're supposed to do. I made sure that I was wearing gloves every time that I was using the resin. It can kind of splash sometimes, so you do want to protect your workspace and yourself. So to get on back into this project, I am putting some Elmer's clear glue directly on the glass just because it was in this convenient bottle and I had more control rather than just dabbing the resin on there. And I made like a tree shape and then sprinkled the crushed ornament on here. Now I did mix in a tad bit of gold. I put one gold ornament with the other green ones, and that gave it a little bit of contrast in here. But I wasn't thinking, I kind of forgot, but the inside of these are silver, so it gave it enough contrast with that itself. I wouldn't have had to have had the glitter ones. I'm just trying to tidy it up, clean it up a bit, and get the tree shape back. It doesn't even look like the one that I originally drew. That's okay. But I'm just trying to like smooth up and tidy up the lines a little bit. And then just to give it a little bit of extra glimmer, put some more of this fun glitter over the tree and then made a little star at the top. I just didn't want to take the time to crush up a million different colors, so I skipped on crushing or even looking for anything that resembled a tree trunk for this part. So I just painted it with brown paint and then took a paintbrush and I noticed that I was getting tidier lines, like I could actually push the glue underneath the glass. And then whenever I got the glue on the paintbrush, I just dabbed it around the edges so that I could add some sparkly glitter all over. Like I mentioned beforehand, I do like to use the Mod Podge brand, and I do pick this up at Walmart. I'll have some linked underneath this video, but I just like to do one part, or that I just follow the instructions, but it says 1 part resin, 1 part hardener, and you wouldn't have to mix up this much for each project, but this is an entire video for me that I'm making at the same time, so I end up using every single drop of the resin that I mix up in for this video. But just use what you think you will use, and then you always have time to mix up a little bit more and add to it, because this does take quite a while to dry. And then applying this resin all over the tree. I was worried about the little pieces kind of spreading out, but they actually stay really well in their place, and I just pour this all over and it's going to hold everything nice and snug underneath and look so incredible whenever this hardens. Next up, I am using one of these huge panels for $3 from the plus section to create a really fun tray. Trays are one of my favorite things to use with the resin because you can like create gorgeous pieces that are customized to your style, and it like houses cute little items like setting on a table. So I painted this with some of the mineral color Waverly chalk paint that I pick up from Walmart in the little jars. I didn't worry about the backing because once again I'm adding a ton of glitter, so didn't worry about getting it perfect, just adding a dash of color in there. I glued down a ton more of these white mini little snowflakes. You can find these everywhere too in craft stores. I think I actually ordered these online, but I glued them down and then put in some of the Dollar Tree fake snow, and this just filled it in, made it look like even more snow, and then added in some silver glitter. I do recommend using disposable everything when working with resin because I think it's going to be impossible to try to clean anything really nice that you want to save, especially if it dries any at all. But I also love using these paper cups because you have control to kind of squeeze it together and create a spout and get it to go where you want it to. I fill up this tray as much as I could just to cover everything. You don't have to use as much as you possibly can just to cover everything, and then make sure that you're going in and making sure that all of the resin is over each of the snowflakes and there's no holes left behind. And then I wanted to attach some little handles, so using a large wooden bead garland, I just cut this down, attach it with popsicle sticks on the bottom, and I'm not going to pick up the tray. These are mostly just for looks, using the handles, but I feel like these are really cute. It added something special to it and made it look like a real tray. First up, I'm working with one of these really thick plush stockings. Now, I actually found this at Walmart, but you can pick up dollar store stockings. Anything would work. The first thing I wanted to do was really stuff this so it was going to be stiff. This is going to be a door hanger, and I really wanted to dress it up and put some greenery in the top, but the bottom was just kind of laying flat. So stuffing some grocery bags in there just to give it more of a full look, and then just picked whatever floral picks that I had on hand. You definitely can just use something that you had last year or just some Dollar Tree picks, but I am filling this full so it's making a gorgeous arrangement, and it's just tucking this down inside. Now you can tack this in with some hot glue. I didn't do that for now because I might want to add some more in there, but I love the layered effect of the berries and the greenery, and then making a huge bow with some of this leftover fall ribbon. I was so excited to be able to find some of this red like plaid print at Dollar Tree for the fall season, so I was able to use what I could in fall and then get to save it for the Christmas time. But I made a really easy bow and hung this at the top just with a dab of hot glue, and I actually hung this on a door with one of the Dollar Tree suction cups that actually suctions to the glass. But this looks so beautiful, and I had this put together in like 5 minutes. This next DIY is perfect if you have tons of extra ribbon or scrap fabric on hand. All you have to do is use another one of these Dollar Tree lighting strands and then cut down some ribbon. I did about 4 to 5 inches. It really doesn't matter, just however long that you want your ribbon to be. I just mixed up ribbon that I already had on hand. I did not end up using all of this ribbon, but definitely check out Dollar General if you're looking for ribbon. They have it down for just $1 instead of the $1.25 like at Dollar Tree. Now, when I first started, I cut this wide ribbon down in half, and you can see that it is just like falling to pieces. So while I did keep tying it on there, I do go ahead and trade that out in a minute and just fold the burlap fabric in half instead of cutting it in half. I ended up doing about 3 ties or 3 knots in between each light, and that seemed to work perfect for me. It made it look really full, and this is the part where I am just folding over the burlap instead of cutting it because it made so much less of a mess. This is so simple and easy to do. Anyone can do this. I did go back in and trim off the edges where it kind of was raveling out a little bit, but I love that pop of red color as well as the white snowflake pattern. It looks so gorgeous, so I just ended up using 3 different types of ribbons, but I really love how it makes this set of lights pop. So a really fun little hack, if you get a visit from the elf on the shelf, keep this in mind. You can pick up one of these fun like sequin hats and actually make a fun sleeping bag little accessory for your elf. So I just picked up this little elf from Hobby Lobby to get the perfect sizing, and then I'll be able to set this out and wait for our real elf on the shelf. But I laid it down in there and then cut out the exact size I needed to fit down inside of this little sleeping bag, and then turn this inside out and then glue this down actually facing each other so then I can turn it inside out. So if you like to sew, you actually could stitch this together. I figured the sequins would kind of be hard to get around, so I just went with some hot glue. I decided to make a little coordinating pillow, so kind of doing the same thing, just gluing this together, leaving a little opening. I actually stuffed a little tissue in here to make it a little bit more fluffy, but I think these are so perfect. I know that like the elf on the shelf accessories can be so expensive, so it's fun whenever you can DIY your own and make them for the $1.25 price point, and it's just so much fun, like making custom things that you know your kids are going to love. And I think it's super fun that this is actually sequins and they can move the colors back and forth. And the pillow makes it even more cute. You're able to tell that it's bedding. I love that I was able to save the little jingle bell. And then I set this out and our little elf on the shelf actually uses it. Super, super cute. I love this, and a super fun surprise for the kids. So these were $5, so many different designs that would work with this technique, and this has to be one of my favorite hacks ever using the spackling. Just grab a snowy print. I went for this vintage truck. This was only $5, and it was a huge like 16 by 20 piece, and then I'm using that same spackling that I mixed up earlier to add in some texture to this artwork. It is going to just elevate this piece, make it look so nice, and just kind of putting it where the snow is so it has more of like a natural look to it, kind of going where I already see that it looks like the snow has piled up, and then going in with a popsicle stick or anything that you have to kind of smudge it, give it some texture. But what is super fun is going in with a wet wipe or some type of damp cloth and then just kind of patting this, so not only is it going to give it more texture, but I make it look like the whole thing has snow all over it, and this dries with such a gorgeous finish, and it's going to look like a high-end piece that you purchased, like a real painted original piece. I just love how this elevates any canvas like this. I've done it to a ton of the mini little $1 canvases from Dollar Tree, but now getting to do it to a huge canvas like this, only spending $5, so you don't have a lot at stake. But this looks gorgeous when it dries. You can see how much texture, and looks like there really is snow falling out of the sky. Next up, we are making these gorgeous gift boxes that are actually lit up. I love these so much. I actually ended up just using dowel rods for these. Now, Dollar Tree sells dowel rods. I just had a pack from Walmart, so that's what I'm using. And this was like a variety pack, so I did have to pick out like the smallest dowel rods. But I'm just cutting them down to size. I didn't have any exact measurements or anything. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. But for the first one, I wanted it to be a little bit bigger, so I just cut off a little piece of these. I felt like the full dowel rod was a little bit too big to set on a table. But the point of this really is just to kind of start with your frame. So I'm making 2 squares that are exactly the same, and then I'll piece them together with more of these dowel rods.
I guess the most tricky part of this is getting the hot glue not on the table so your dowel rods don't stick to the table. But this looks really thin and like it would just fall apart, but it's actually more sturdy than you would think. Just making sure that I am attaching these really good at each of the corners and just kind of going slow, letting the glue cool down completely before I keep flipping around the frame. And then I picked up some of this mesh ribbon from the Dollar Tree. It is super thin, so I did do several layers of this, but just tacked it down in place on one of the dowel rods and then just keep wrapping this until it's the thickness that I like. And once one roll is completely out, I just go ahead and tack it down and start another one. Now for the big one, I did leave the bottom just completely open because I want to be able to put some LED lights in here. So I leave it open, and then for the top, I just kind of added some hot glue and then just put a ton of this fabric over the top. I knew I was going to have to cut around the edges, so I didn't care what it looked like at the beginning. I just kind of putting this back and forth until it's as thick as the sides, and then cut away all of the extra ribbon. Next, you'll want to get a coordinating ribbon. I kind of wanted to stay with the silver theme, so I'm going to go ahead and just take it piece by piece so it's not overwhelming to work with, but just gluing it both directions and then putting a big bow on top. I made more of like a glam version here, but I also think these would be really pretty wrapped in like red mesh with like one of the red and black buffalo check ribbons. And then as much as I love this big one, I knew it would be really cute to make a set of them. I know if you purchase like lit up boxes like this at a store, they usually come in a set of 2 or 3. So I went ahead and made a mini little version. I just cut the dowel rods in half, and then I was able just to get away with using 2 pieces per one dowel rod, so that did save me a little bit of work and materials. And then just wrapping the same way, just with a little mini bow. Now the bottom on this one was wrapped because I wrapped it both directions, but I was able to still put in my LED lights just on one of the sides and attach the bow and put in some of Dollar Tree's lights. But I love these. They look so gorgeous in the daytime, but even better at night.